Welcome to the driver's seat. We are in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where Lexus is launching their 4th generation LX600 SUV. This is their flagship SUV, and of course it's based on the Toyota Land Cruiser. Now, Lexus first came to this country as LX450, which was their version of the FJ80. There wasn't a lot of differentiation, and that continued in 1998 when they launched the LX470 based on the FJ100. Then you had in 2008 the LX570, which is the vehicle that was just retired. That was the last of the V8s. And now for 2022, we have, for the first time, a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 engine and an all-new platform. It's still based on the Land Cruiser, but you can no longer buy the Toyota Land Cruiser in the U.S. So for Land Cruiser orphans, which is a term that Lexus uses, this is the only option you have. Before we take a look under the hood, let's talk a little bit about this front end. So the spindle grille has been a design cue for Lexus for the past several years. It's very polarizing. Some people love it, some people don't. There are 5 trim levels. The F Sport gets the mesh spindle grille, and the rest are going to get the 7-bar grille, which I like a little bit better. It's a little bit more subdued, not as polarizing. Now, Lexus talks about off-roading, and we did a little off-roading, and how maybe they're going to attract some of those Land Cruiser orphans. But angle of approach has been a huge issue in the past with LX models, especially this last generation. They've done a little bit of a better job, and it's pretty good angle, and we did do a little off-roading, and we didn't scrape or anything like that, but this is basically a luxury SUV. Their competitors, BMW X7, Mercedes-Benz GLS, and Range Rover. And you could tell that just by the wheel options. You know, when they launched that LX450, it had 16-inch wheels. Now, 20 is standard, 22 is optional. You can still get 18s, which I highly recommend if you plan on doing any off-roading, but that is a separate option. I know a lot of purists are going to be sad that the V8 is gone, and I can tell you I'm one of them. I have a 2020 and a 1999 Land Cruiser. Both have V8s, and they're wonderful. But I can also tell you that at 7,000 feet elevation, which is what Santa Fe is at, this 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 performs a lot better. 409 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque, made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission. When I say we've put some miles on it, we have put miles, over 500 today. That's a lot of miles for a drive event, but that's exactly how far we drove it, and it was impressive. I really didn't feel the absence of a V8 engine. I know it's different, and Toyota still has that option to add a hybrid like they did with the Tundra. So when they do that, we're talking 500 horsepower, which will compete with some of the top-level AMG Mercedes and BMW X7 Alpina and the Range Rover Autobiography, for example. So they have that in their arsenal if they want to add another 100 horsepower or so. But for now, this is what they're launching with. And like I mentioned, 5 trim levels, and they're all very distinctive. It has to do with seating and luxury, and the top level, the ultra luxury, is really impressive. That is definitely designed to compete head-on with the Range Rover Autobiography. We're in the driver's seat of the LX600, and like I said, we put a lot of miles on this vehicle today. So let's talk about the infotainment, because that was a big focus of Lexus. You know, the outgoing model had Intune, and that really was kind of a disaster. And now they have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and that's wonderful. Here's my issue. So this secondary screen serves 3 purposes. You have your HVAC, so you control all your AC heating. You have your drive modes, which in my opinion, most people are going to just be in comfort mode or normal mode 99% of the time, so I don't even know why waste the real estate. And then you have this option, which is your settings, and you could turn the screen off. The problem is, if I want to change a radio station, or if I want to locate a radio station, yeah, I can use voice command. I could say, hey, Lexus, tune to Sirius XM 100, and it will do that. But what you have to do otherwise is get back into the Apple CarPlay menu, hit the Lexus icon, hit the music icon, hit the Sirius XM icon, and then look for your station. A lot of steps. Even when you list all the channels, rather than listing them, they give you all these icons, and you have to scroll through it a little tedious. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but in my opinion, you have some very valuable real estate down below. And I think that consumers are going to be focused on this. The other thing is, they say that Mercedes-Benz and BMW are their competitors. And a lot of car companies, what they do is they put 7 or 8 favorites, actual buttons, somewhere here. And there's plenty of room for it. And those favorites could be navigation, could be calling someone, or it could be a radio station. And, they want to compete with the big boys, and while they've made some huge advancements about the technology, I still think that there is more room for improvement. I hope they address it, and maybe in the next year or two, we'll see an updated version of this infotainment system. But for now, it's a big step forward. If you're comparing it to the LX570, leaps and bounds. But if you're comparing it to the competition, there's still some work to be done. Otherwise, I'm fine with the gauge cluster. Yes, it's not the Mercedes-Benz 30-inch massive screen, one-piece screen. It's 3 different screens here, but it works. They have paddle shifters on all the trim levels. Only certain models get wood, and they only get wood on the inside. Otherwise, you're going to get leather like in this vehicle. And overall, pretty good. I wasn't impressed with the lane keep assist, the lane tracing. It was doing a lot of bouncing back and forth, but we're told this is a pre-production model, so maybe it's something that's addressed. Just something I noticed compared to, for example, the X7, which I recently drove. So those are some of my comments. The other one is that on all 5 trim levels, none of them can you get massaging seats. All 3 competitors that they mentioned offer massaging seats. So again, and all 3 competitors also offer V8 engines. So I'm okay with the engine part, but massaging seats only available on the rear and only on the top trim level. I think that's a little bit of a miss, because they have massaging front seats on their flagship sedan, the LS500. So why not offer it in here? I don't know. Sometimes the decisions these car companies make, and I'm not just pointing it out about Lexus, but all of them really leaves me with, my head scratching, like, why are they doing this? But somebody made a decision, and that's what we have. So other than that, when it comes to off-road capability, I would put Lexus above and beyond the competition. And the seats are very comfortable, and you have 2 different grades of leather depending on the trim level. But again, not having massaging seats, I think at this price point is something that's needed. As you know, one of my pet peeves are USB-C, USB-A ports. You have 6 total, 5 USB-C, 1 USB-A. That's fine. Also, you have the key wireless charging in the front on all trim levels. If you get to the ultra premium luxury model, that's got the captain's chairs. You also get wireless charging between the 2 seats. Lexus put a lot of emphasis on driving dynamics. This is a body on frame, so it's basically a truck. And in order to make a truck comfortable, a lot has to happen, and that all starts with the underpinnings, the frame, and then you have to get the suspension working together. Everything has to work in unison, and the ride quality improvement over the LX570 is leaps and bounds. I think of all the areas, the engine and the suspension and stiffness and ride quality, that's really where they have really moved the needle with regards to Lexus. They're now, in my opinion, on par with the competitors. Now keep in mind, the competitors that we mentioned, those are unibodies, so they have an advantage with weight, and they also can do more because they can make the vehicle behave like a car because it basically is a car. This is still a truck, and I think that is a huge advantage, where what really separates Lexus from all their competitors, at least the 3 that I mentioned. The thing I want to talk about is towing. I don't know how many people are going to tow with this, but what's interesting is that the LX570 only had a towing capacity of 7,000 pounds. It's identical to the Land Cruiser, which had 8,500 pounds of towing. Now with this new configuration, the new engine, they've increased it to 8,000, so it's still not up to where the old Land Cruiser was. Not really sure what's going on there. When I asked Lexus, they said, well, we can't comment on Toyota, that's a different company. Okay. All I'm saying is you have to look at towing capacity if you're going to be towing a big Airstream or maybe a heavier boat or something. But this vehicle tops out at $8,000. Maybe when they have the hybrid, you might get a little bit more. The other thing that all Land Cruisers and LXs have been well known for is really just how easy they are to drive and park, the turning radius, the maneuverability, and that has continued in this next generation LX600. So I'm glad to see that. I think anyone who buys this vehicle is going to enjoy it. It's not as wide as an Escalade. It's easier to park. It's easier to maneuver. And really, I think it addresses most of the things that affluent buyers in this segment are going to want in their luxury SUV. The first time I walked up to the LX600 from the rear view, I noticed that it looked narrower, but it's actually a little bit wider. And what the designers did is square it off, and it really completes the vehicle. It doesn't have that kind of bubble look that the outgoing model had. But what I also noticed, which was kind of disappointing, is that for the first time ever, the LX is not going to be available with a split liftgate. I love my split liftgate in my Land Cruiser. I think it's a great feature and distinguishes it from competitors. But I guess we have to evolve. What they did do is listen to their customers, and the outgoing model that had the third row option, the seats did not fold flat. So now they fold flat, and you can do that electronically. And now you have a flat cargo area. So this is apparently very important to a lot of consumers. Now there are 3 seating configurations. So this is the third row. This is the 8 passengers setup. You can also get it without the third row, so 5 passenger. And for the ultra luxury, you can get it with it comes with captain's chairs, so only seating for 4. But again, that's designed to compete with the high-end Range Rovers. That concludes our first drive of the all-new 2022 Lexus LX600. Clearly, this is Toyota's luxury brand, and they have tried to move this upscale. For the first time ever, I think they've created a lot of differentiation between this and the Land Cruiser, even though the Land Cruiser is not available. But you can see where they're going with some of the luxury appointments. There are a lot of things we like about this vehicle, a few things we don't like, but overall, I think it's going to be a great competitor to the segment. And again, remember, Lexus is like Toyota, and they focus on QRD, quality, reliability, and dependability. And my money's on this vehicle in that competitive set. I'm Ron Doran. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on The Driver's Seat. This is a decent hill, and they want us to use crawl control because this is the 3rd gen crawl control, the same one we drove recently in the new Tundra. So it's much quieter than obviously the first 2 generations, and it's a differentiator that Toyota and Lexus have over the competition. They were the first to do it. It's a little, it's very capable and very quiet, obviously. I don't know how many LX600 owners are going to be doing this, but it's nice to know they can. That's going to be the same with a lot of these extreme vehicles, McLarens. I mean, yeah, it can go 200 miles an hour. Most owners don't, but they want to know that they can. But yeah, it's it looks great.
Yeah.